It all started several years ago out of the most ordinary of circumstances. There was a pull, a draw to the unknown, a deep knowing that we are all here to do something more than just simply exist. A strong desire to discover my purpose in this life. These are some of the emotions and thoughts that ran through my head before venturing through a winding path of self-discovery, spirituality, expanding consciousness and wisdom. Here is my untold story of a spiritual adventure. I went to my usual appointment to get my hair cut. My hairdresser told me that she had received a psychic reading a little while ago, which was really accurate, and she'd been going back on a regular basis for Reiki, which is a form of healing. I felt an intense pull to book a reading, so my hairdresser gave me the contact details for the psychic, a lovely lady called Verity, and I booked a reading. I remember the reading being profoundly accurate. It stayed with me for quite some time afterwards. My boyfriend also went for a reading, having been inspired. He was told about the spiritual abilities he had, and he was introduced by Verity to her friend and mentor, Virginia. I continued seeing Verity on a regular basis for some months. It was in these meetings that my spiritual adventure really began. I was introduced to a whole new world, a reality that I didn't know existed. A reality of true potential, a world connected by consciousness. Shortly afterwards, I too was introduced to Virginia, a Canadian lady who was and still is a force to be reckoned with. From there, I began my training, which led to a series of quite monumental transformations. A regular and ordinary routine appointment with my hairdresser had actually turned into the biggest turning point in my life. It changed the course of events in a way that even now I have difficulty expressing in words. The training was, and very much still is, intense at times. An emotional roller coaster that challenges you every step of the way, leaving no stone unturned. The realizations, the light bulb moments, the shifts in consciousness I experienced in return made it all worth it and more. I went through a series of transformations in fairly quick succession in the beginning. I became attuned, probably for the first time in my life, to my thoughts through mindfulness. What sorts of thoughts would come up regularly, and I began to see how negative my outlook on life was. How critical I was, mainly of myself, but others too. The suffering I caused myself. That basic level of awareness was the catalyst for the changes that then unfolded. I became conscious to the fact that we are not our thoughts. We can choose not to get caught up in these thoughts and the emotions that come with it. The weight that lifted from me was immense. It was such a profoundly freeing experience. For years I had felt trapped and I always sought to be free, not really having understood what this meant until I was able to detach myself from my own thoughts. What was surprising was how quickly I was able to shift my perspective, how quickly I was able to transform my mindset. I thought that because my thought patterns and my behaviours were so deeply ingrained, it would take a long time, but this was not the case. Everything is connected, you see. The shift in my outlook ignited change in every other aspect of my life, in a positive way, like a domino effect. It was quite amazing to experience. I think I lived in a temporary state of disbelief for a while, wondering how on earth my whole life could change just like that. Eckhart Tolle says, "Remember your perception of the world is a reflection of your state of consciousness." Consciousness itself constructs the world you inhabit. The state of your consciousness is entirely within your control. It all comes down to you. From this transformation, I was able to heal and free myself from emotional pain and past trauma. I expanded my consciousness and developed upon my psychic abilities. I met my guides. I began to hear, see, and feel another reality. I started becoming aware of so many synchronicities in my life, particularly in the beginning. Things like talking things into existence, seeing synchronicities and numbers everywhere all of the time, experiencing what I thought at the time were these strange full body shivers or goosebumps at specific ideas or reflections. They varied in intensity, sometimes only running through one half of my body, right from my head to my toes, other times focusing on one particular area, but still powerful all the same. I came to learn that these are otherwise known as soul hugs, when the energy of another being, such as our guides, enter the space of our energy or soul, an intense message of affirmation. Seeing faces and objects in the bathroom window, seeing visions and clips of places and people I had never met before. It was all part of the journey, each one an opportunity to learn something, as long as I did not brush it off as a strange coincidence and promptly forget about it. Deepak Chopra says, although we think of them as extraordinary, miracles also streak across our consciousness every day. We can choose to notice or ignore them, unaware that our destinies may hang in the balance. Tune into the presence of miracles, and in an instant, life can be transformed into a dazzling experience, more wondrous and exciting than we could ever imagine. Ignore it, and an opportunity is gone forever. You see, you all have your own natural spiritual abilities. The chances are you just aren't aware of what they actually are. You all have experiences that you will put down to mere coincidence or luck, but there is no such thing as coincidence or luck. Absolutely everything in our lives happens for a reason. These experiences are natural, part of our inherent being, although society will try to tell you otherwise. We are conditioned by society not to believe in what we cannot see and touch right before our very eyes. That spiritual capabilities are for fantasy novels and movies. Closed-mindedness is praised, and anything else, well, that's just frowned upon. You may or may not be aware, but the human population is currently going through a mass awakening. There will be a huge shift in collective consciousness in the not-so-distant future. Indeed, it has already begun, and it will move the needle on society's current viewpoints. It's an exciting time to be alive, and a great thing to be able to experience. So many people waking up, becoming truly aware and conscious. Over the coming weeks and months, I will be sharing all of the teachings and techniques that I have learned along the way, in the hope that you too can develop a better understanding and knowing of your own self.